Hi, my name is Martin, and today I will show you how an example document repository may look like in Navigator platform. The tutorial is divided into three parts. The first part would be about the example overview of an example document tree. Then the second part we will talk a little bit about the lists, how to manage them, how to make them more suited to your needs or to the user's needs. And in the third part, we will talk not too much, just the basic information about permissions. Just to remind you, Navigator is an ECM class platform that allows to transform almost any kind of document to a paperless form. Thanks to its very broad AI, artificial intelligence and business intelligence features, functionalities, you can easily collect, analyze, and also automate data flow across your company. For the needs of today's presentation, I'm using a demo called Fructon. All the information and all the data, all the documents used in this demo are fake. Okay, let's go to the system. Today we will be working with the document application only, so I will go to the context of documents. I'm not interested in any other applications. And in the first part, we will be talking about this tree on the left-hand side. The goal of today's tutorial is not to go too deep into one specific document, but to give you an overview of a form, of a list, of a category, and also of other key aspects of the system's organization. Okay, so first, document category. The document category is what you see on the left-hand side. You can organize it in a parent-child architecture. So you can have as many levels as you want. However, we recommend having maybe two, maybe three levels. Having too many levels and too many nodes, too many categories is not, it's first of all not effective because you need to keep it clean, let's say, and then you need to apply the right permissions to each category, each node. So we think that organizing it in a process-based architecture is a good idea. So you have big processes on the very top. So let's say we have a purchase process and the node purchase documents. Another big process is a sales process and all the sales documents. Another is, let's say, stock and all the stock documents, and so on and so on. So the sub nodes or the subcategories would be certain document types. So under purchase documents, you have requests, suppliers' offers, purchase orders, purchase contracts, invoices, and probably some more, but these are the most important. Okay, let's see how the addition mode for a category looks like. First of all, you have the parent of this category. So this is what I said, that you can organize it in a hierarchical architecture, parent-child architecture. You have a default type and also a default list attached to this category. So when I click this category, I only see the list with certain documents. And also when I click add, I'm adding a certain type of document, in this case, a request. And this is very important. You apply permissions at the category level. So everybody who has permissions to the category, they have permissions to the documents in that category. And also, if you have inherited permissions, That means that you inherit permissions from the upper category. So if I have people having rights to purchase documents and all the below categories have inherited permissions, that means that all the people assigned to this node can also see this node. But you can always switch it off. So you want to have a node that nobody sees, or maybe there are a couple of people in a company that sees who see that node. Okay, and that's pretty much enough for the categories. On the right hand side we have a list. So this list, as you see, might slightly differ between different nodes, different categories. For example, in the case of requests, we don't have a vendor. In case of suppliers offers, we have a vendor column. Well, actually the whole list might be different. In a minute, or in the second part, I will tell something more or describe more features of the lists. Okay, let's see what example documents are in these categories. So what we see here is a purchase request. We have a form, a dedicated form. In this case, we don't have an attachment, but adding attachments or attachment section is applied to this form. We have dedicated fields such as priority. Items is actually, the list of items is a common list between all the purchase documents. We have assignment tab, so we can assign this request to a certain account, product, department, projects, etc. And obviously we have a workflow tab that says how the workflow of this document is executed. It shows, what is important is that it shows it live. So the yellow box is the activity that we are that is being executed at this moment. So the process went through the green part and it's in the yellow activity, yellow step. We have permissions that says what organizational units have permission to this document. Of course, most of these permissions are inherited from the category, but also you might have some permissions that are derived from workflow. So there is no such person in the category permissions, but because of the fact that the workflow directed this document to that person gained the permissions to that document. So this is we call it adaptive or active permissions. So there are static and adaptive dynamic permissions. Dynamic permissions refer to the workflow. And also we have a tab with comments, so we can just make ad hoc discussions about this document with the rest of the company or with my teammates. Okay, let's see some other examples. Here we have an invoice. In case of an invoice, the form might differ a little bit. Furthermore, there are some extra functionalities, extra features that are applicable with invoice only. So, for example, we have a localization of the values that were captured with the OCR engines. Navigator AI features may collect some data or capture data from the scan to the form, and we may see it when we click this this field. Okay, again we have the assignment, workflow permissions and comments tab. Other interesting feature concerning the documents is relations between the documents. So look, let's say I have a purchase order and I know exactly what invoice this purchase order refers to. So I have related documents, and this purchase order is related to a request and also to a material purchase invoice. Obviously, you might add this relation manually. So on that form, you can click add a related document, but you can also, let's say, tick a document and say convert to material purchase invoice. What happens is the system creates a new document, and what you see is you have all the information rewritten from the previous document, and also you have all the items, and also you have this relation already created between the two documents. Another important or very critical feature about documents is making them, let's say, archive. What does it mean? Well, at some point you might not be interested in seeing this document anymore. Let's say you have documents from 2, 3, 4 years ago, and you want these documents to go, let's say, to a separate archive. How it is organized in Navigator? First of all, you don't have to design a separate category or a separate module application that would represent the archive documents. What you do is you simply tick this document and mark it as archive. That means this document is not visible. However, if you click show the archive, because at some point you might be interested to seeing that old document, so what you do is you just click show the archive, and that document is visible for you because you still have permissions to that document. And again, I might withdraw this document from the archive. So I made it archive, and I made it active again. So this is how it's organized. Obviously, there are some other scenarios for archivating documents or making documents archive. However, in our opinion, this is the most convenient for the users because usually during the everyday work, they don't see the old documents, but at some point when they are interested in let's say, digging deeper into the history, they may turn this archive on and all the documents are again visible for them. Another note or another process is sales document. So maybe I'll collapse the first note. Now we are talking about example sales documents that you might manage with the system. Okay, this is an interesting example. You might register all the offers that go through your, that go from your company to your clients in the system. But furthermore, and this is something that our salespeople like very much, is that the system can generate an offer automatically for them. So this is a Word template of an offer, and based on the data entered in the form, the system generates this offer. Okay, there's another tutorial explaining exactly how this works, so I'm not going to go too deep into that, but I will just give you a brief view with the diagram. So you have a registration in the system, and then once the offer is registered, you click generate printout, and what happens is the system creates a Word document that is a Word template of that offer, and then somebody checks that template if it's okay, maybe enter some corrections, and then we have a substantiative control. And this is interesting, the offer might be sent through email automatically, or might be also printed out from the system. Okay, let's go back. We also have sales contracts. This is organized pretty much the same, so I have obviously a different form for a contract, but I also have this Word template of a contract, and once I fill all the information, I might ask the system to generate a template for this contract for me. So the same functionality used for the contracts this time. I think we also have this Word template applied here. So we have an invoice, and this invoice is generated again on the base of Word template. And what is interesting with this document is that when the document delivery equals electronic, so we have it settled with our client that he approves to receive invoices through email, by email. The system, after formal control, sends the invoices automatically to the clients. Okay, next, stock documents. Stock documents is something that most of the people, when we give presentations of the system, are a bit confused, because this is not an ERP system. This is not a stock dedicated system. So why do we need the stock documents in the system, in this system for? Okay, you don't register these stock documents in the system, but you might import them from, let's say, your ERP. Why? Let's say you have a materials receipts. So this is the document saying that the material was received by our company. But then there is an invoice coming after. And once we have this invoice, we might check what sort of material release it refers to. And once we find this material released, we simply convert it to material purchase invoice. And this is exactly what happened before. So the system, when we were demonstrating the purchase documents, the system creates the purchase document based on materials receipt, so the stock document. All right, what else? We also have financial documents. Let's say these are only the example, but very popular examples. You might manage insurance policies, investment applications in the system. Let's have a quick look at the policy. So this time you might have some extra alerts applied to your policy. So first of all, you have it registered in the system, so everybody who is permitted can see that policy. But furthermore, certain people might get alerts from this document that, let's say, the policy expires in a short period of time. So this is again some interesting feature regarding the documents. Investment application, let's have a quick look only. You have another example of a form. This time you have, let's say, a list of positions. When you input the expenditures in years, just notice that once I add a new year, let's say 22 this time, and I add something, the system calculates it for me. Okay, very popular node or very popular process is Office document management. So we have all the letters, incoming and outgoing letters. First, let's have a look at the incoming letter. Obviously, every document has its workflow tab and the workflow process. So this is something I'm not paying too much attention to at this moment. However, I want to show you another interesting relation that we might build between the documents. Look, I have incoming letters, outgoing letters, and let's say cases. This is a grouping item for all the documents. Let's say my case is company's 15th anniversary. So I may relate certain documents to that case. Let's do that as an example. And what you see after I save it, when I go to case, I see all the documents that are related with this case. So this is quite an interesting feature. Organizational documents. This is quite, this is just an example again, the policies, the corporate policy. There's a tutorial explaining how to create your new document, and this was made on the base of, let's say, this document, corporate policy. So you might watch it if you are interested. Watch it if you are interested. What is important, what is worth mentioning now is, let's say you have a policy, a new policy that you want to publish in your company, and you have a field saying who does it concern, and you have the whole company that is concerned with this policy, so it was well related to that policy. And look, everybody from that company or from that organizational unit must mark this policy as read. So the workflow is designed like this. We have a policy registration, policy approval, and once the policy is approved, the next step is getting familiar with the policy, and everybody clicks, yes, I got to know this policy, I read this policy. The last note, or almost the last from the example note, so this is not the closed list of documents, is HR documents. And obviously you might have absence requests, employment contracts, and also maybe payrolls, not to, let's say, copy your HR system in terms of payrolls, but you might be interested to, let's say, assign certain values to certain employees and maybe projects, maybe some other analytical figures that then you would like to make analysis through. So that's why payrolls are here. And you might also adapt an email to your document. So let's say email is just a document. So you might create emails and send emails right from here. But what is important actually, and what is it mainly used for, is not sending emails, but collecting emails. So I have an account and I got all the emails from that account, and all these emails are, let's say, visible. They may be related to some other documents, or maybe upon these emails, so based on these emails, other documents are created automatically. For example, invoices. You have an account, let's say Invoices, and then you get the emails from this account, and the system creates invoices, documents, invoices for all those emails. So look, I have, as I mentioned before, the lists attached to each category. So each category, each node of the tree might have a dedicated list. And what I can do with that list, I can adjust it to my needs. So I may, let's say, have another column visible for me, only for me this time, because what I do is I adjust column settings for me as a user. Because I have administrative rights, administrative permissions, I may also edit this list for all the users. So I may change the place of a column. I may, let's say, make this column always visible or default hidden. When you make it always visible, it's always visible also on your mobile. When you make it default hidden, it's not visible at first sight, but a user might switch it on. What is very, well, maybe not very, it's dependent on people, but I like this feature very much. I may organize an extra filters for my list. Let's say I have a category of like this. I want to see, let's say, vendor. Okay, I'm just making a basic example of that filter list, of that filter, sorry. And I'm going to be using contractor, vendor, where are you? Yes, vendor. Okay, multi-choice. Let's see how it looks. So look, when I click the filters, I see all the companies that I do business with, and I might click this company and see the documents from this company only. Another interesting feature concerning the list is the preview of a document or of an attachment right on the list. So maybe I'll stick to the same list, and look, I have an attachment column, and I have it clicked here, preview attachments. So when I click this off, because it was default hidden, look what's going to happen. Okay, I have attachment column visible, and when I hover my mouse on it, the preview of this attachment is shown. And also, if the attachment has a couple of pages, I may switch the pages with the buttons here. So I don't have to go to the details of a document. I might see the details right from the list. Another interesting feature is that when I filter some data, let's say my vendor would be, let's say, Shell. And when I go to the first document from that list and I click next, the system says the next document would be from the filtered list. So the next document would also be from Shell. So I have 3 documents filtered on my list, and by clicking next or previous, I go within that range. And this is very nice and useful feature, at least in my opinion. Okay, I think that's enough as an overview. So we have still one more part left. This part is called permissions. At some point I showed you an addition mode of a company, of a category. So I'm going back to this addition mode. You might allow certain people to view what's in the category. You might allow certain people from your organization or certain users or certain groups. Maybe I'll apply to the organizational unit, let's say controlling department. I want everybody from controlling department to have the rights of full control. That means that they can do anything with the documents, even delete the documents. This is an interesting right, because we might, when you have the addition right, you might add a document to the list and see only those documents that you added, but you don't see any other. And the view, you see all the documents from this category, but you cannot edit them. Obviously, you have this inherited permission functionality, so the system inherits permission from the above object. In this case, the above object is purchase documents, but in case of a document, the above object is category. So when I have a request and I have this inherit permission from, and inherits permission from the above object, so the category, the subcategory that we saw here. There's also one more level of the permissions. This is called dynamic permissions, or the workflow-based permission we call dynamic, because the person gets certain permissions at the certain stage of a workflow. So at first step he doesn't have permission, at second he doesn't, at third he does. And he does this permission, let's say, to edit one field or to view another field. So the workflow permissions is something dynamic. But there's also another tutorial explaining exactly how the workflow permissions and all the permissions level work. Okay, I think that's enough for today's tutorial. I invite you to watch our other tutorials as well from the document section, document management section, as well as from other sections covered by Navigator. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.